Hey, what's up? I'm Guy.
I'm John.
It's our YouTube channel. Subscribe to it. Give this video a like.
Podcast below in the description. We had a guy named Mel Kiper Jr. Mel Kiper Jr. On this week. Go check that out.
Okay, we've been talking a lot of quarterbacks, a lot of trades. We talked about if the Niners would be interested in trading Jimmy Garoppolo for Stephon Gilmore. And at the end of that conversation, this was several days ago, you said, what about N'Keal Harry? Do you want N'Keal Harry? Well, Mike Garafolo wrote on Wednesday, tweeted, said somewhere, all of it, that teams are calling about not about Mike Garafolo, about N'Keal Harry, who's got 2 years left on his contract, John. Both years under $2 million. Would you find we got Jimmy Garoppolo still on the Niners as of today? Would you find some use for N'Keal Harry in a trade?
I tell you right now, I can see a package, Guy. Jimmy, the third, N'Keal, Stephon Gilmore. We go big. We could also
Edelman, put Edelman in.
We could just go a flyer. Yeah, just get Edelman back to the Bay. Just bring him out here. Even if he plays the Richard Sherman role, just come hang out. Here's the key, though, Guy, is I like taking flyers on, premium picks. Now, this guy clearly has really struggled. Someone tweeted at me because or maybe DM'd me. I tweeted out a couple days ago when I saw that he was potentially available. He reminded me of Juju Smith, and someone in my DMs was like, "What do you mean by that?" I just meant a bigger physical wide receiver who wasn't that fast. Now, Juju has had issues, but Juju has learned how to play. Because when you can't run fast, you have to do a couple things well. Play physical, use your body and strength to create separation and play tough with the ball in your hand, and make contested catches. And it's been a disaster with the Patriots. Like he'd be the equivalent 2 years, a bust, an absolute train wreck, especially when you factor in they could have taken DK Metcalf, they could have taken A.J. Brown, and even they could have taken Deebo Samuel. Like those guys. Obviously, DK and AJ are the premium guys. Deebo has been really good. He just gets hurt a lot. But those guys, all three of them run circles around N'Keal's best moments, their average moments. I still like taking one economically. It's not that expensive. Like Kendrick Bourne, someone's going to give Kendrick Bourne like $3 or $4 million a year. So could I have my third wide receiver, N'Keal Harry, a guy that was just drafted in the first round? If you go, okay, John, he was overdrafted. He still was going to go in like the second.
Yeah.
Like he was still viewed as a pretty good prospect. And he's cheap. Like that to me is the way good businesses operate in the league. They go, well, we'd like to bring Kendrick Bourne back. I like him. I'd imagine most Niner fans do.
Healthy, productive years for the Niners.
But he's not like people are going to pay him.
He's not a value.
No, I don't like paying him $4 million a year where I can get this guy for a quarter of that and then hopefully play a similar role. I don't know if he can. And here's the way the league works, as we just talked about it. There is a decent chance Kendrick Bourne is just always a much better player than N'Keal Harry, right? Even though once upon a time he was not drafted. I think he's an undrafted free agent, but none of that matters anymore. But the money matters and building your team matters economically. And that's where I like it. I think it's a low value. The Raiders, Al Davis made a career of doing shit like Andy Reid's big on that. Veets, they like the premium guys and getting for cheap. And just sometimes it doesn't work. I'm okay with that.
Here's what I would like about it if the Niners did it. If the Niners did it, who do you think it means they called?
Herm Edwards.
Herm Edwards, who was a big part because we heard Herm and John Lynch both talked about their relationship, how close they are in drafting Brandon Ayuk. Maybe
don't press send unless you need to ask Herm a question.
That's right. And then you press send, and you can press send as early as like 3:35 a.m. Herm's awake, running the stadium. He'll respond. But maybe Kyle would have loved Brandon Ayuk anyway. But there's no doubt that how much Herm liked Brandon Ayuk only helped. And we've talked about this with the Niners. We've talked about it with, a lot of teams, right? You've talked about it. You get in a room with a guy for 15 minutes, you might love him too much, and it can shade the way you feel about him. Well,
Lynchy.
I can say this. I know that ASU, from talking to people there over the last couple of years, they did really like Brandon Ayuk. And you've always said when you were scouting, you just don't know how much you can trust the head coach necessarily. They've got a big picture agenda, but the trainer, the position coach, they might be more likely to give you the real dirt on a guy, the real scoop on a guy. Whereas the head coach might be more, first of all, doesn't necessarily work hands-on with the player every day, so they may not even know him as well. And, they just
higher the player gets drafted, the better it looks for them.
Yeah. Now, the same would be said for a position coach or for a strength and conditioning coach, but their reputation's on the line when they talk to you. They want you to know that when you tell them they love a guy that they mean it and that you're going to have a guy that's going to be successful. So I would imagine John Lynch has talked to Herm Edwards about N'Keal Harry and knows exactly what he thinks and knows what Herm thinks it would take for N'Keal to succeed, right? He knows what Herm thinks N'Keal has not had in New England. Is there a big history of guys that don't succeed in New England succeeding somewhere else, players? There is a history of.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably pretty rare. I'm not advocating if it's just a straight up trade, not my sweet Jimmy, Stephon Gilmore additions. Like I'm thinking 6th, 7th round pick. Like this guy, you're getting for nothing. You're not trading anything approaching like the 4th round. So would you say they got 3/5? I'd be cool with trading a 5th round pick for N'Keal. I'd do that yesterday.
Because it is.
You agree?
You're not trading for him to be your number 1 or even your number 2 receiver. Right?
He's cheap. You get him under contract. I think you have his. I would be shocked if they didn't ask Brandon Ayuk what he thinks about him. Right? Maybe they just feel more comfortable with him. He did have a lot of success for Arizona State. Like I thought that year it really put Herm on the map. Like, they got this guy. I understand his play speed has been an issue. I remember him playing fast at Arizona State, like a wide receiver screen that he cut around. Like I feel like he just lost his confidence. That first year with Tom Brady. Again, this guy might not be good, but I like taking flyers.
12 catches as a rookie. Injuries.
Missed a ton of games. You have his box score up right now from 2000. What was it, 2020?
20 was 14 games, started 9.
Okay.
33 receptions and 57 targets. Not an accurate passing game that he just played with. 2 touchdowns. Year before was 2 touchdowns in 7 games. 12
he got 4 touchdowns.
Yeah. His touchdown to reception ratio, John.
You said 13 catches year 1?
12.
So he's got 45 catches and 4 touchdowns. Not terrible. I mean, he's on good.
No,
the NBA they do per 36.
Yeah,
like
one per
a normal season.
11 catches. You extrapolate
get
that
into
over
the
100 catches, John. He's got 10 touchdowns. But no, seriously, if I told you got N'Keal Harry, what you would want is his career numbers in 1 year. You'd want 45 catches and 4 touchdowns, right?
Yeah. If he had just had that, his value would be much higher.
Because what my guess is Kendrick Bourne was last year, 49 catches and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah. That's what you're looking to replace.
The year before,
I think
it was 30 and 5.
I also think this guy, Juwan Jennings, might not be a player, right? He just might not be fast enough. What's his name? We did the running back change wide receiver. Yeah, Jalen Hurd has broken his back basically 2 years in a row. So you can't count on him. They desperately want like what I think teams look at tight ends. They got the tight end, right? They got the big body tight end that dominates. They don't really have the big body wide receiver. Kendrick Bourne kind of played that role, tough catches over the middle, and the other 2 guys get to work. But maybe that's N'Keal's destiny, is to just be a 45, 50 catch guy for $2 million. They got that's his value, right? If they can get his 1 year production or, Kendrick Bourne's production out of N'Keal at a cheaper number, it's how you build teams. And this is how, like, the Niners have been drafting wide receivers in the mid rounds, and one of them got hurt. One of them's not good enough. That's normal. Maybe you just get a guy that at least shown that he can just catch 40 balls in the NFL, you think, in your offense.
This is part of, again, Kyle Shanahan's salary includes these types of things.
Yeah. I like this move. I love it, big picture, if they can, like, do the big package.
Be like, Gilmore, a third, Garoppolo, N'Keal. Middlekauff's going to be like, we got to start with N'Keal Harry.